This
Okay.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we have a quorum. There's 3 board members here in the room, and we have 2 board members online, Terry and Marilyn.
Neil?
Hi, guys.
Hey,
Proof
Neil.
of notice. Hi. Proof of notice was given at, we posted it at both the golf and the plaza last week. So next point on the agenda is the approval of the past minutes. So we have 4 sets of approval minutes to go through. 3 of them were for closed board meetings and 1 was for a regular board meeting.
Sorry.
So rather than go through them individually, can I have a motion to approve the past minutes? Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, so moved by Pat and seconded by Alan. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Neil, I'll abstain on the one that I wasn't in attendance for.
Okay, thank you. And I'll turn it over to Stephanie for the management report, please.
Thank you, Neil. For those of you who may not know me yet, my name is Stephanie Taylor. I am the new Community Association Manager. So just a few things to go over.
Sorry, Stephanie, just before I go there, I also wanted to introduce Peter Curtis, who sat right over there. Peter is our new general manager. Started with us on 3 or 4 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. So welcome, Peter. It's Peter's got a wealth of experience from previous roles, and so brings a fresh view of the community, and also will help us, support us as we go through the changes that we're going through. So, Peter, I didn't know if you wanted to say a few words and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Just so you all.
Do you want to come to the mic so people online can hear you?
Sure. I'd like to give everybody a little bit of history of where I'm coming from. I actually have a lot of history in communities, but also with hospitality. So I've worked at multiple Waldorf Astorias, multiple Ritz-Carltons, the Breakers in Palm Beach. I worked at Disney for 6 years. I've worked in food and beverage. I've worked as general manager in different country clubs, one down in Jupiter, Florida. And I've been around in hospitality for 26 years, off and on, as well as community. So really all I'm doing is kind of coming in and diving in and kind of want to take kind of learn from the team that's here and take it to that next level for you. I'm excited to be here. And like I said, I have a lot of food and beverage and golf and community experience. So I'm happy to be here. I am in this building most of the time, sometimes down at the golf club, helping out down there. I'm very excited. So if you need anything, let me know. Just diving in, so don't dump everything on me yet, but I'm ready to take it on and take it to that next level. So it's nice to meet everybody.
All right, thanks. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Stephanie, sorry, back to you.
Sure. So for those of you who may not know me yet, my name is Stephanie Taylor. I'm the new Community Association Manager here as well, so I'll be working hand in hand with Peter. On that note, we will be hosting our first quarterly managers update at the end of March, where we will be officially introducing ourselves to the community, talking about everything that's happened during the first quarter of 2023, projects that have been completed, projects that are on the horizon, and just where the country club is headed. So we are excited for that. We don't have a specific date pinned down yet, but it will be towards the end of March. And then you can expect those community updates quarterly. So if we're going to talk about January right now, we'll start with the delinquencies. As of January 31st, we were 90,000, just over $90,000 with homeowners in arrears. Today, that number is just over 80,000, so it is slowly declining, which is good news. During the month of January, we closed on 8 homes in the community. During the month of January, we had 121 resident inquiries with our 24-hour call center. And of those 121, 41 of those issues were escalated to on-site management. We do have our work order system up and running. I know a lot of residents are still not using the Connect portal to submit work orders, but this is something that we will be going over during our quarterly update. Additionally, during the month of January, our new landscaping company, United, their work order system was not yet up and running, so our work order numbers are a little askew right now, but they do have their work order system up and running at this point. So if you do have a landscaping related work order, which is what most of our work orders are from our homeowners, please make sure you do utilize their work order system. I will continue to communicate what that link is and how to use it through our e-blasting system. I'll send it out in my weekly updates. For architectural review, during the month of January, we had 2 meetings, January 3rd and January 17th. A total of 10 applications were processed during the month of January. And just to talk about some pending projects, projects that were completed and any updates, important updates for the community. We did have those 3 mailbox clusters on Fallen Oak that were broken by a car accident. All 3 of those mailbox clusters have now been replaced and are fully functional. I know one of the areas of frustration are the palm tree replacements that are supposed to take place at our pool here and the north pool. I assure you that I am working diligently as I can. I know I came in the middle of that project, but as diligently as I can with the vendor who is providing those palm trees. So I do hope that we will have that resolved as quickly as possible, but I promise you I'm working on it. During the month of January, our North Pool badge scanner did go down, but we got that quickly up and running again. And we had various vendors come out to address the somewhat funky smell that's happening in the plaza. We did have the grease traps cleaned out, which helped with the smell some. We also had a plumber out, which also helped with the smell some, as well as an HVAC company. The smell is mostly gone at this point with small notes of it every once in a while. So we've been assured that it's really just the rest of it kind of leaving the building. So we should be in the clear, but we do have an HVAC company and a plumber scheduled to come back to revisit the issue. And we're also now going to be on a regularly maintenance schedule with getting the grease traps clean in here at the plaza and down at Golf Grill. And another area of frustration is the lower pool at the plaza here not heating properly. Again, I was brought into the middle of this project. I am working very diligently with that vendor as well, making sure that it is done timely. So I do have an appointment with them this week. So hopefully we will have something resolved, at least temporarily. I know the part that they're waiting on is estimated to be here at the end of February for the permanent solution. I will also be researching other pool heating contractors. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Yes. During the month of January, 8 homes were closed on. You're welcome.
Marilyn's going to deal with the question.
It's the one we talked about, the irrigation head. It's covered.
Neil, there is one question online. I don't know if you want to, it's not one that's actually on the agenda, but it's one we could probably cover, perhaps. There was a post on Facebook regarding some irrigation work that was needed, and the homeowner received a quote from United with money due out of pocket above the dues. Questions came up as far as what is exactly covered in our HOA dues for irrigation concerns.
This is what we spoke about earlier today. So this is something that we are doing some research on based on the contract that United provided us. I know who that homeowner is that received that quote, and I will be in touch with them. But until then, I have no news to share with the community in regards to that.
Okay, that one we're going to have to hold. We'll hold for that one for a moment. Okay.
Neil, why don't we just deal with all these at the end based on time available?
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, I'll now ask the committee reports. So Gary, could you give us the art committee report, please?
Good evening. I have no additional verbal report. In addition to the written reports that you've been provided, I can answer any questions that anyone might have on the written reports, but I have no additional verbal report.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Gary. On the legal, we had a legal committee meeting last week. On that, we talked about the down-to-earth contract, which I know we'll talk about a little bit more detail. We also talked about the engineering, the turnover, the engineering report that was provided to Lennar for their comments in terms of construction defects, I should say, and the response that we received from Lennar, which was basically that 95% of the issues that we and the engineering company identified, they put down to maintenance issues as opposed to construction defects. So clearly that's not the answer we wanted, and we will be taking further legal advice on that. But prior to actually formally sending the legal notice, we need to have the turnover audit finalized. Alan and I had a conversation with the auditors today. We have the first draft of that. They need to tweak it on a couple of things we've added. And so we're hoping to get that back by the end of the month, at which stage then the attorney can then formally submit their 558 notice, as they call it, to Lennar for the defects and for the amount that is due to us according to our financial auditors. One of the other things that has come up, and we talked about in the legal committee meeting, I was approached by the chair of the Safety and Security Committee, and this comes to the question, I think, online about security within the community. As you know, currently the master has control of the gates, and the master is still controlled by the Lennar board. There is the Florida Highway Patrol that we have at the weekends that sit at the gates with their lights flashing. That's covered out of the master budget, I believe. And then there's the Ramco Roving Patrol that goes around the retreat area, and that is paid for by the retreat. So there's really nothing in terms of security that we have during those peak times that is happening in the country club. And so we're relying upon Ramco stopping people who are unauthorized into our community. And we all know that that's not a great solution for us to have. So one of the areas we will be exploring is whether we need to get our own security patrol to come through the country club during those busy times, and particularly, late at night when we've seen situations where people have been trying to break into cars, etc. So we will be exploring that and seeing what the costs involved in hiring people as security within the community and to tour the community. So more to come on that, but we raised it with the legal attorney because the suggestion from the Safety and Security Committee was to have a neighborhood watch and to have volunteers going around the community. Our attorney strongly advised against that because there are incidents and issues that we've seen in other communities where there have been situations and liability issues that are just not something that we want to accept, that kind of risk within our community. So the option is to look for something external to support us, but obviously there's a cost involved in that. So once we've got some more understanding of that, we'll come back and we'll review that.
And Neil, on that, I assume once the master turns over, they're going to have a strategy or an approach to that as well. That might be enhanced. It might be better gate control. And I was looking at license plate readers and things like that. So there's more tracking of people coming in. But we are not a secure location. People can walk on sidewalks and things like that. Yeah. But we suspect most of the people who come in are at the retreat and then wander on over. So again, I think we got to look at it holistically with the master and then figure out how we supplement that if we choose to.
And just on that, the latest I have in terms of master turnover, the latest date now I have is April, is what is being suggested. But we know that that's already moved 2 or 3 times from what originally Lennar has suggested to us. So the latest we've seen is April, but I still have seen no communication from Lennar to look for volunteers for boards, or whether they've actually changed the declaration in terms of how that board structure is going to operate. So we're still waiting on that.
Neil,
On that note,
one question just while we're talking about legal, is there any further updates on the fencing around Country Club 5? Is a question online.
the fencing is a Lennar, not a legal issue. Lennar said they were going to be fencing that. When I last spoke to Lennar, Pat and I, they're still waiting for supply and quotes to be able to put those fences up. So like everything with Lennar, unfortunately, these things take a long time.
The alarm systems that are defective in some homes would be part of Lennar's defects.
So
we're talking about
the question that's being asked is, would the alarm systems within the homes be something that is a Lennar defect? The contract provider of those alarms is Southeast Wiring Services. They're the ones who are responsible for it. Lennar contracted them to put those alarms in, and also we have a 15-year service contract with them, which Lennar signed. We didn't sign. We'd love to get out of it, but we've had our attorneys look at that, and unfortunately we can't get out of it.
It's not answered whatsoever, so we tried many times.
I know. I hear your frustration. We also had the attorney look at that contract as well to see whether there was anything in it that would allow us to challenge SWS. And unfortunately, it's worded in such a way that they can change equipment, they can,
Right, because we paid for it, but
Yeah.
we don't get the service.
Is there a contract?
There is a
Also that contract
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
if the service was not working or whatever, do we have like,
No, it's not working, period.
Well, the service itself is a service. The only service that they're providing is the box allows you to press a button that goes through to the emergency services, and that is working. And that's what we're paying the $9.99 a month for.
Mine doesn't work at all.
Well, then that's an issue you need to take up with SWS.
Right, but they do not answer. That's the problem. It's a vicious circle. They are supposed to come and fix that, but they do not answer the
I
phone.
never do.
So I do not know how to address that. I believe it's a defect. I mean, the
Right.
installation and the system is not right. It never worked.
Again, that's a homeowner issue with that particular vendor. I mean, we can try. I've got contact details of the owner of SWS. I can share that contact information with you, and maybe you can escalate it up to try and do that. So I can do that. Finance?
finance? So good news is we're going to have a finance committee.
We've not got to parking yet.
It's coming up.
It's coming up.
It's on the,
It's on the list.
So yeah, the good news is we're going to have a finance committee. Hasn't been in place for a little while, so that's actually part of the new business, is establishing or voting on 3 new members. As Neil mentioned, the turnover audit, we have a draft of that, so hopefully finalize that in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll send that to our attorneys, and they'll forward it on with the 558 filing with Lennar. Soon, we're going to start the year-end audit, predicated upon the year-end financials being done by First Service, passed on to us, we get to review them, and then we'll start the audit sometime probably mid to end of March. There's no hard and fast deadline, but we try to like to get that done before the end of summer. As we set up the finance committee and as we present at boards, my goal is quarterly. So when year end's done, when the first quarter is done, second quarter, third quarter, probably either a month in arrears or 2 months in arrears, depending on when the financials are available, to do like snapshots of the finances. What did we spend actually? How does that compare to budget? What are our variances? What are our highlights, lowlights, et cetera? just to give a little more information than just having you guys go online and look at the financials and try to interpret them. So we'll start that process as a regular part of board meetings, probably 5 or 10 minutes, quick summary up on the screen. And then for anybody who attends the finance committee, not the first couple, because I think that'll just be about logistics and setup and who's going to chair it and things like that, typical committee sort of housekeeping. But we'll be there to answer more in-depth questions if people want to know or drill down into different areas within the finances. So one of the goals in my mind is to sort of educate and get more transparency out there so you guys can understand the numbers a little bit better. Because I think there's always a lot of confusion, not only about our finances, but what's the master, what's the retreat, what's the country club, et cetera. So trying to help out, understand that. And then the last thing, just to follow up on Stephanie's points, just to give you a little more, we've made good progress. I won't say great progress yet, but good progress. We've collected over $40,000 since year end on the delinquent accounts. Currently, there are 3 in foreclosure, one of which we filed. So just to remind everybody, there's like a multiple step process. One, the accounts have to go delinquent, so they have to be overdue 60 days. Then we issue what's called a NOLA, notice of lien action. So basically we give another 45 days to say, hey, if you don't pay up, we're going to put a lien on your unit, your home. Then the next thing is we put a lien on your unit with a notice of foreclosure. You wait another 45 days, and then you have the ability to file a foreclosure. And what the attorneys do before that is they do an assessment of what is the house worth, what's the mortgage on the house, what are the people who are ahead of us in line, so like the Oasis Club, the master, if there's taxes due to the county or anything like that, they take precedence over us. So they would give us what they call an equity analysis, say there's no equity in the house, so it may not pay to spend the $500 to foreclose, or there's $100,000 of equity, you'll definitely get paid back, so go through the process. So we have one in foreclosure, the master has one in foreclosure, and there's actually a mortgage foreclosure on one as well. So the mortgage foreclosure, which is about $15,000, is our highest risk. So that one might be collectible, may not be, so we'll probably reserve against that just in case. But the other ones are in various stages. There's another 10 with liens filed, with notice of the next step being foreclosure, and then there's 5 that are currently in the notice that we're going to place a lien on. And as you can imagine, a bunch drop off. As we started this list with like 33, we're down to 18, but some get added to it. So we're moving in the right direction, but we definitely have a heightened focus on this to make sure that we don't wait a year before we start this process. So as you know, from last year, November, December, we kicked it up a year. We started filing all these notices of liens or foreclosure, suspended amenity privileges, and that's gotten a lot of attention. So moving in the right direction there. I think that's it.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Restaurant and activities, Tara?
Yep, is Megan out there?
She is. Hi, Megan. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Need to put my glasses back on.
Oh, you're her and
Do you
Nicole.
want to come up to the mic?
Oh, yeah, I would love that. So there's a couple of things in your packet, a couple of RFPs. One is MPLC, that's the music licensing, just to make sure we're in compliance. And then the fitness center, the renewal for fitness on demand in the fitness room. So you have all that, and then the rates and the fees for the different rooms, which I went over with Nicole, and I thought they were very reasonable, and I think it'll add additional revenue. The other thing I am discussing with Nicole is we talk about changing over the servers, looking at IBS, point of sale systems. She addressed that there's a need for tracking like activities. And we talked about, refunds, payments, taking checks, how we're billing people. So I talked to her about doing Eventbrite. So I don't know if you all are familiar with that, but it's a service online that manages all of your events. And there's 2 ways you can do it. You can.
What's it called?
It's Eventbrite.
Eventbrite.
Yes. Okay. So what you do is every event that you have a fee for the event, you would post it on Eventbrite. When you do a social media link or post, you would have the link to Eventbrite, and then people can buy their tickets right online. So instead of calling the plaza, billing the account, sending it, like keeping track, I canceled, I didn't cancel, where's the money go, who we billing, they would just go right to his website and they charge a small fee. You can either have the resident pay for the fee or you can include it in the ticket price. So if the fee's like $1.50, you can just raise the price a little and include it. And then that way, if people want a refund, they can cancel. You can pick and choose if you allow them to have a refund. So they want a refund, up to 3 days in advance. And then at the end, you'll get a list. People can just come up to the door, you can scan with their phone, or you'll have like a master list. And like if I didn't bring my little barcode, you check them off, and then that way, Eventbrite will send you a check when the event's done, and you're not having to bill all the residents and keep track of who's coming, who's not, answering the phone, I want to come. It just all is handled through one website. So her and I are talking about that. We also discussed the yard sale. We're going to start, I think, April 1st. It's the first Saturday in April, so I figured after everyone gets done with spring break, you can clean out your closets, have your kids help you, organize everything, and then at the beginning of April, get that done. And then that will be right before the Easter egg hunt, which is on April 8th up at the North Pool. So they already got a food truck, and then we're going to have the Easter egg hunt on that Saturday.
One of the things that was mentioned earlier today, Megan, was National Night Out. Now, this is an event August the 2nd. And Christina was talking to us about, do we want to host a national night out? And it's about all of the emergency services. So her husband works for Advent Health, and he'd have and we could hold this down at the golf, so he could have like a helicopter come in.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And you have all the emergency services there as well.
Okay.
It's not a charity event. It's about bringing the community together. So it's called, again,
It's in partnership
National
with
Night Out.
it's called National Night Out. It's in partnership with the Osceola Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
So if you reach out to them, they know what it is, and they come out and they help you host the whole event, and it's just a way to know who the officers are that work in your county and just starting to build like a good relationship with
Which would
them.
be good, because that's with the security thing.
Oh,
It
yeah.
does. It really does. It really does.
Yeah.
Get some phone numbers for them.
So that's the
Yeah.
beginning of August. So we'll ask Christina to kind of liaise with you and Nicole about that.
That would be great. Anything else?
No, that was it, really.
All right, I think that's about it. We, Nicole posted all of our February stuff, and just trying to plan ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a question?
Yeah, and it was asked, I asked on Facebook about yoga Pilates classes, and I messaged Nicole because I had a very big response.
So,
yes,
can I just
Go ahead.
ask on that? The question is about yoga classes at the plaza. Now, one of our sponsors is Advent Health, and they do yoga classes at other communities, and they have offered that. There is a cost to it, so it might be worth thinking about asking them and the Advent Health representative what they have to offer for us, because they have offered it.
Nicole did. I think
She has, okay.
She's in talks with them. so-
Right, because unfortunately, the area in the gym, if you've got more than 6 or 7 people, it's not
Yeah, we
really
have to
big
go out,
enough.
sit around out to the pool deck.
Okay, it's supposed to be that big green over right in our pool.
Oh, yeah, the croquet, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
It's a
it
big
is.
empty area not being used.
Mostly flat, I mean, not perfect,
that
but yeah.
could work.
That's it.
It's a nice big area.
It is a nice big
A lot of
area.
response was like, oh my gosh, which is great, so it shows that there's a demand.
I screenshotted it and I was like, Nicole, they're gonna be calling you to
Yeah.
set this
Yes.
up. So.
And there was also a call for golf yoga,
For what?
Golf yoga.
yoga for golfers.
Okay, not heard of that one.
Yeah, Christine, somebody mentioned that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's.
it was something that was raised earlier, and it's something that definitely we should be thinking about.
Call for our sale, so that was for the- Yes. Will be advertised more.
Yes, so they've already
Sorry, what was the
started-
question?
So the question was, after the fall garage sale issues,
Right.
are we going to do it better?
Yeah, I think we need to make sure we're opening the gates a proper time, we're signposting it
Yes.
properly. And I know there are certain restrictions, but hey, everybody else puts their signs out. We just put the signs out.
So, and I know that I've already seen a couple of our Facebook pages that they put a save the date for April 1st up. So I saw that in the last week or two.
Okay. Thank you, Megan.
Hey, Neil, quick, is Matt in there? Matt from
Yes.
Pickleball?
Yeah, Matt.
Matt,
Any update on the
Matt.
pickleball?
What you guys did this month and how amazing it was?
What's that?
You want to talk about your guys' clinic that you did?
Oh yeah, just we hosted a clinic a couple weeks ago, had 19 residents come out, everybody had a great time, spent 2 hours learning the game. There were a few people that couldn't make it, we're looking at hosting another clinic in another month or two, we haven't established a date yet, but great event. Then we got, a lot of the participants came out last week, on Monday, and we just played some games with them to kind of follow up on it, so we're going to follow up every couple weeks as well with people that attended the clinic.
Perfect. So if you didn't hear that online, there's been Matt's been holding a clinic for pickleball. It went very successfully, and there is another one planned, but haven't got a date for it yet.
Yeah, it was great. I never seen people at the pickleball courts before, so it was amazing.
That's great. Good stuff. Okay.
Communications.
Sorry. Yeah, go, Terry.
Yep. Javier says, hola. He's in the Dominican Republic right now. But for
good for
you
him.
who don't know, Javier, we're actually about to vote on it here shortly. He wants to be the chair of the communications committee. Javier is a big line. We also have two guys who just purchased a home. One of the 8 homes last month, Mario, who owns a company who builds websites. So both of those individuals met with ITS a couple weeks ago, and they got to learn a lot about the process, how to get involved more in the community website. We know that it needs completely rebuilt. So him and Javier and the rest of the communications team are going to work on desktop and mobile friendly designs. They want to be able to get somewhere within 3 clicks. They would love for people to report maintenance and possibly do food orders on this new website. They also want to work on digital billboard and document storage, which could be a great thing. We currently just finished the welcome aboard package that Gigi did, and Stephanie's working on it also. We updated all the HOAs, all the current information, where to find the schools you're going for. It's a lot easier package for somebody to go through for all the new homeowners here. So that's done. That's in Stephanie's inbox. The message boards are still on order. Those are going to be, we might not get those until around summertime, but we'll keep everybody posted on those. For those who don't know, we ordered message boards for Country Club North over there in Phase 5 and also in Paytrack by all the mailboxes. And we just completed the Championsgate Center that was sent out this week. And if you or somebody you know wants to advertise in the newsletter, please contact Nicole. There's a lot of great things you can do. You can do half pages, you can do full pages, you can advertise closets on the golf course. You guys need. We're really excited about the communications committee and also the activities committee right now. I think we're definitely moving forward, and let's just make this place great.
Great job, Terry. That's a lot of work that you guys are doing.
Thanks, Terry.
Sorry, Terry, one quick question. Is Javier connected with the group that's looking at the point of sale system, et cetera? Because they're going to have some.
Yes, he is.
Oh, perfect.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Great. Thanks.
I was just going to raise that because we did, for everybody's awareness, we had a technology meeting with ITS. We had a whole host of residents join that meeting, and we had a very productive discussion with them around the architecture that we currently have in place, and Russ Oliver has taken the lead on that in terms of looking at our architecture and what we need to take us forward. The point of sale system, to what Alan was just mentioning there, we had them look at what our requirements are for the point of sale system. As we've mentioned many times, we had 2 point of sale systems, one here and one at the golf. Neither talk to each other. So what we're looking for is a point of sale system that works in both locations, so that we can use some of the benefits of having that in both locations. Again, ITS have provided us with a requirements document. It's now with the facilities committee for them to put together a proposal to go out to 3 potential providers. They're also looking at our office equipment. We have some redundant office equipment in the office that needs to be upgraded. Security cameras. Russ Oliver is also taking a look at that in terms of what security cameras we need around here, around all of the common facilities that are part of our community. As Terry had mentioned, obviously the communications committee with Javier is doing a tremendous job in looking at all of the other externally facing communications and technology for our residents. So moving forward on the IT discussion. Did you want to talk about the villas?
Yeah, Marilyn, you want to talk about villas, or you want
to? Well, Karen's there. I'd like to speak. Otherwise, I can chime in. But go. If Karen wants to go ahead.
Come to the
mic, Karen.
Right now, we have an issue with the insurance on the roof. And we're just looking at different options that are available. I think, Robin, you're looking at maybe getting insurance, Thelma, through the HOA for all the roofs of the villas.
Okay.
Maybe another option is amending the 5th Amendment, because the wording is very murky. Some of the homeowners that had roof damage, 8 homes had roof damage. 4 of them had insurance called the HOA. But I suspect, we think that the deductible was so high, they didn't want to pay their deductible on their repair. So they wanted the other 92 owners to share in that, because the 5th Amendment says repairs and maintenance. Well, it's kind of murky. Well, if you have insurance, but you have a deductible, should you be paying your deductible? Or should the 92 villa owners pay that deductible?
Right.
So that's a big issue that we're working on with Alan to try to resolve.
Are you planning to come to the board with a proposal in terms of what you want to do about insurance, or even changes to the 5th Amendment?
Yes,
you are.
Have to. We're working with Alan right now, Robin and Selma, to at least come up with a proposal.
Okay.
We really don't have an avenue where we want to go. Well, you were going to talk to the attorney.
We did have a conversation with the attorney, and she's coming back to us. But we think, right, because the challenge is, go ahead, Marilyn.
No, I think, Karen, I've been involved with you on this too, and it goes back 2 months when we talked about, the villa owners wanting, coming up with their own procedures and practices that works for all of the homeowners in that particular area. Yes, the Amendment 5 is vague and convoluted, which is why it's critical that, the villa homeowners group together and decide how it works or should work equitably, effectively for all of the, area folks in that particular area. I think it's very important that, the net is broadened to beyond the villa subcommittee and have a much broader, larger active group that has input into the solutions. It's going to be challenging. I think it can work if we put some rules together, and it will continue to evolve as we learn from event to event.
Yeah.
But the problem is, we need to know first from the attorney if we can change it before I contact the insurance company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm in Connecticut, in the townhouse that I live in, and I'm on the board up there.
Right.
And we have an umbrella policy. So if anything happens to our roofs or our garages, our insurance covers that. And then we just have rented insurance, so it studs in.
I know we did look at that, Robin, when when this 5th Amendment was put in place, and we asked the insurance broker about, can the association take an insurance to cover those risks, and the response was they couldn't get an insurance company to take that risk for us.
Okay, well.
But it's certainly worth revisiting now, because that was a couple of years ago.
And the one,
Sorry, if I remember when I was on the board at the time, it was all to do with the Florida statute being under 720 and not 718. which is
Exactly.
condo, which
But we're not a condo.
we're not.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
that's where the challenge
We're
was.
not a condo,
If you're
we're
a
not a
con-
townhouse.
If you're a condo, it would have been, there is cover available because it's under 720 as a single family home. Insurance companies don't cover that.
But it's not a single family home because we're attached to the walls.
I know.
So how could it be a single family
I
home?
know.
so
It's
the,
an anomaly. But the attorney is looking at it. We talked to the attorney last week, and the attorney is looking at that in terms of, is there an opportunity to change the Fifth Amendment? But obviously, it's down to you guys in the villas in terms of what you want to propose once the attorney has come up.
Yeah.
In order to change that, in order to change the Fifth Amendment, it has to go to the members, all 937 homes, for them to vote on that change. You need a minimum of 10% of those members to vote. So 94 need to vote. And of that, whoever, the number of votes has to be 51% in favor for it to pass. So that's your hurdles you have to get across.
and then that's a better hurdle than the 75% of the villa owners.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So there is
There is an opportunity
an
there.
opportunity, and again, it comes down to, one, the attorney has to, that was her initial take, is that we can put it to a member vote versus a villa owner vote. So that's a positive. And then she just has to make sure that her quick reaction to that when she researches it. So she's due to come back to us with that.
Well, you know, our next meeting is February 28th.
We'll have something for you by then.
Yes.
I'll make sure, I've made a note that your meetings are the 28th.
Karen, I would strongly encourage the villa owners to start to have a much more vocal voice about how this will work effectively for them.
Well, I don't have their emails. The
Yeah.
HOA has it. I can't get it. It'd be, you know, I talk to my neighbors.
You can craft a memo to go out to those homeowners, encouraging them to attend the next meeting. Stephanie can send it out, but you can.
Then Stephanie can send it out.
I will send it out.
But you do send
I
it
do,
out
I
every
do.
month.
You're right.
But the other thing is the memo didn't go out yet from board members on the villa committee. We need more members on the villa subcommittee.
Right.
And it's been months and months and Kathy applied.
It did go out.
It went out on December 7th.
Yeah,
It went out, Camille sent it out.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't know who followed up with Camille before she left, but I'm moving forward. I spoke with Thelma and I spoke with William. We're moving forward on the 28th. We will have additional board members coming on.
On the
So-
28th.
Yes.
When we have our
We've
next.
got to need
I know.
legal and villa. So can we send out one mass communication?
And we need golf.
You can't be on the villa subcommittee if you're not a villa owner.
Yes. Yes, I'm sending communication out asking for more committee members.
But that was done on December 7th.
I know,
I have the email for that.
right, I know.
What happened and nobody followed up with Camille? I can't wait anymore. We're moving.
Yeah.
We're moving.
So I'm going to just resend it out because I unfortunately don't have that information.
So for member vote, you need
Because we had
you get a quorum, you need 10%, minimum 10%. So
10% only villa.
no. That's
The whole
so member vote is
community.
whole, so you need 94 people effectively. And then you need
94 homes.
homes, sorry, right? And then you need 51% of those to vote in favor. However, if you get 200 people showing up, then you need 101 votes, right? So it varies depending on how the minimum is 94, but if 120 show up, you need 51% of the 120.
I don't think
It's
94
easy.
ever
That's
showed.
actually.
Well, it can also, it doesn't have to be in person, it can be electronic voting or by proxy.
Proxy, yeah.
So,
Well, that's right. We can't proceed.
And we've already
and then you need a
started.
board as well.
Okay,
Let's assume that that's the lowest hurdle.
so I think, Karen, if you can, think about we'll get the attorney,
We'll get the advice from the attorney.
the advice from the attorney, we'll provide that on your meeting on February the 28th. If you can try and encourage as many villa homeowners to join that as possible, because this is important for them to understand.
Understand that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you look at it.
No, you can,
I know.
You can do your
There's not
best.
900 people here.
You can do your best, and that's all we ask.
But I think the board meetings need to be not only put at the bottom, but send out a reminder, board meeting tonight, because I thought it was 6:30, but we were out at night. But a follow-up with the agenda. We used to get the agenda, now we don't have the agenda. And I know there was a mailing, but it went to my address. And I didn't get that.
Okay.
Can we push those on Connect, like via text message, do you know? Is that possible?
Via text?
Via text, because most people today text.
As long as people have their number,
Cell phones out.
cell phone on there to receive text. And yes.
It's on the bottom of the.
On the Friday meet, Friday note, I know.
Friday note, and
Maybe we have a.
I will make note for this next Villa meeting to send communication out.
And ultimately, when Terry's stuff is all in place or whatever with TVs and message boards, you're gonna get bombarded, so we can fast forward 6 to 9 months, it'll probably be a better.
well, there was 13 of us out today, and we all thought the meeting started at 6:30.
Okay. All right, then.
I would encourage a writing to go out to the villa owners to attend the next meeting, because it's.
Yep. Yeah, Stephanie's going to deal with that one, Marilyn. Okay. I'm going to skip the facilities for now. Covenants, is Terry Siren on? I can't see all of the attendees online.
Don't think so.
No? All right, well, we have no update from the covenants then. Golf is Mark
So, Neil, since the last board meeting, I thought we had a covenants meeting that we approved the suspension.
We did, and that was for the unlawful use of the home to access illicit websites. So that was that homeowner and the people who live in that home, privileges were suspended for 2 years for all of the facilities within the community. Okay, so take golf. Yeah, is Mark Roseland on?
I don't think so, but in terms of golf, Mark or Neil, I will just say that there's the fundraiser coming up at the end of the month, which is encouraging everyone to attend. But the main piece of business we had was the resignation of one of the committee members of the golf committee. So we too will be looking for an additional member to that committee.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marilyn. And then, sorry, Peter, I put you to the end because there's a lot for you to go through. So, facilities committee.
That's the end, isn't it? Okay.
Let me just talk about United real quick. All right, so we're 40 days in the United land, being our landscapers now. Personally, I think it's 120 million% better than it was. I think that they're doing everything they've come on board and, committed to do. A lot more work, I know, talking to them than they originally even anticipated, but they're getting it done. I think they've got a lot more done in the first 40 days than I thought they would, as bad off as we were here. So I know that they're working on cleaning up all the beds, getting ready for mulch installation in the next 30 to 45 days, I believe. And again, Stephanie mentioned the work order system is fully open now. No kinks in that. Hopefully we don't have to use that much with the new company. And then lastly, Peter, Neil, myself, and Stephanie had a meeting today with the CEO from Down to Earth. Long story short, they're trying to slack us with a bunch of invoices for a lot of work that they didn't complete. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see them in here one time in December cutting the grass, doing anything. So we have a lot of documentation, photos, drone footage, everything we need to go back at them. Meeting didn't go great as expected with them, but we left it in their court to come back to us with an acceptable figure, and we're going to work from there. We're not going to discuss toll dollars right now. We'll wait until we get a little further down the road, but you have my word. I'm going to fight real hard. So
thank you, Pat.
All right, Peter.
Rich?
Yes.
Hi. I think we're having issues with
That's something they take care of?
So I can't.
Issue with the sod dying. Sod dying.
Who takes care of it?
Is that sod that was previously to be replaced by Down to Earth, or is that a more recent issue?
It's been a problem since I moved in
When did you move in?
3 years ago.
What's your address?
113 Trappers Trail.
113 Trappers Trail.
That's the north section.
So
Okay.
first step would be to enter a work order about it. Have you entered a work order yet? So just to put it on their radar, and then they usually come out and they can assess the situation and just see if it's an irrigation issue, if it's like a grass disease issue, and just they can kind of troubleshoot to see at least what's going on. That would be the first step.
Okay. Peter.
Okay. So the main item for discussion today is parking. Before we get there, there's one other item which mentioned earlier on, which was the palm trees in the North Pole and here. So Stephanie, I believe that the plan is to have the dead palm trees replaced next week.
That is the plan.
What I've suggested is that we make sure we get to know which days it's going to be done so we can close the pools.
Yep.
For safety reasons, because the fences are going to have to come out. They're going to have to pull the old palm trees out and put the new palm trees in. So when this was originally approved, it was when I was on the board back in August of last year, and it was approved for 1 palm tree here and 4 or 5 palm trees at the North Pole. Since then, tree planters have been in and they managed to save 2 of the trees at the North Pole. However, 2 of the trees here have now got the lethal bronzing disease. So we think it's pertinent to carry the spend forward and replace the trees here while the fences are out. It's no extra cost to what was originally approved. It just means it's 3 here and two there, I think, rather than the 4 and 1. Yeah. So just to be aware that the pools will be closed at some time next week, and there'll be communication coming out from MSL.
All right, great. Thanks, Peter.
While you're on palm trees, may I ask a question?
You can.
Because the palms in front of my house are dead, and my neighbor's is dead, but we have 3 that we share. But it started down the block, at the beginning of the street, and worked its way up, and they just gave me a quote for a new queen palm, but isn't that what we have in there that just died?
So, I mean, Ron is more into the land, the palm, the trees than I am, but just, so what happens with the palm trees is that there's a disease called lethal bronzing disease, which once one tree gets it, it's going to go right through your community. What we're suggesting now is that if you're replacing the palm tree, you replace it with something like a mule palm or something that is not susceptible to the lethal bronzing disease.
Well, United Landscaping gave me the quote for the queen palm, and I thought that's what we already had.
The problem is your neighbor has it and they don't put the tree down.
Right, she didn't.
It goes to the next tree and they don't put it down, it goes to the next tree. So whenever you see somebody who has it, you have to cut the first one down.
Yeah.
It's not hard, right?
Well,
Right, because it's on her side, not on my side.
Well, then it's
And I
her.
left mine was fine.
Well, yeah, well, I'm just saying, she didn't turn hers down. So it turned yours.
So
If anybody sees one getting a lethal bronze, you should just.
yeah, so we have
nip it in the bud.
we have a number of dead palm trees around the community in people's homes, and I know Stephanie, because at some point it'll get to the top of her list to address it, because we have to go through the violation process. So if you've got a dead palm tree, the process is you have to apply to the ARC to have it taken out and replaced, and they'll approve that. If you don't take it out, it's subject to a violation because it's a dead palm tree in your yard, the same as any other trees that are dead in your yard. And
Right.
Here in the village.
yes, but it's still your yard in the village.
Your yard.
So it is.
It's a shared yard. In the middle unit, it's shared.
It's
And there's 3 palms that are.
we would have to take a look, but I believe that all the palms are associated with one of the homes.
Well,
I think we would have to have a look.
Take a look at that?
Yeah. We'll,
You have a shared palm. This is your land.
Well, because, yes, but in front of one window, which is hers, is a palm, in front of my window is a palm, and then there's one in the middle.
Right down the property line.
Then you'd have to share the cost with your neighbor. I mean, it's not common area. It's not common area, so you'd have to share the cost with your neighbor
But
then.
I think you need to just come and look.
Maybe I'll ask Ron to go and take a look for me.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it. And then tell me 1069 Quaker Ridge. But
Okay.
if you look, when you're coming from Pacific Dunes and you turn out the street, the first house, they're started, they're dead, there's no trees there anymore. And then ours was the next one, and right. And then they.
We've got,
But you're in a corner, but you have the small
Or
ones.
United.
You don't have the everyone.
My two neighbors, there's a We're not gonna plan on it.
I haven't even taken it out.
Okay,
Neil, there's a
So
way.
anyway,
Can we take it offline, Neil?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
if you
we
can
will.
take it offline with Ron, and then Ron can bring it back to the board or the facilities committee and review it.
And what we'll do then is we'll give you recommendations of what you should replace it with.
Yeah.
And then you can go
And you
get
can
your
go to
quotes.
the ARC for
Get the
approval.
ARC and go and get your quotes to do it. Okay, moving on to subject everyone's hopefully been waiting for, is parking. So just a couple of things before we start. So any amendments to parking and vehicles, section 4 of the rules and regulations, is subject to a board vote and subject to a 14-day notice to the community. That 14-day notice was sent by USPS mail on dated the 29th or the 30th of January, which is the 14-day notice to the community. And that would have gone to the mailing address that each homeowner has registered with the HOA. Okay?
do we have any extra copies here?
Well, the letter actually didn't say what the member was totally wrong.
Yeah.
All we have is
So-
for people who can't get onto the
So just to say that this is Florida guidelines. This is how you have to do it as part of the statute. We followed the statute, so it's now a discussion with the board on any amendments to parking. Section 4D on golf carts. The
No,
board,
I'm so sorry. I didn't get about the parking because it's been an issue.
so that's what I'm presenting
Yeah,
now.
that's what we're talking about now.
Okay, so everything is about parking.
I'm presenting about parking now, yeah. So section 4D of the amendment, which is a new section added on golf carts, the board have asked us to remove this from the current amendment and to go out to the community and get to do a survey on what the community would like in terms of golf cart parking in the community.
Just some clarification on that, Peter. When we've reviewed the recommendation from the facilities committee, and can I just be clear, this is a recommendation from the facilities committee. This is not the board dictating this. This is the facilities committee that's presented this to the board. Because there was, when we've looked at this, the governing documents around parking of golf carts is not as clear as we would like to see it. So we want to have the attorney take a look at that, because if you read it literally, you can't drive your golf cart on common land, i.e. association land. So you can't drive them on the roads through the community. So there's clearly some clarification that needs to be undertaken on the governing documents language. To Peter's point, once we have that, we will then be looking to go out to the residents, to survey the residents on parking golf carts on your driveways. And then we will see what response we get from that. And from that, we will then decide on how we manage that going forward. So that's the process that we're looking to do.
Thanks. And I know we'll have some questions. So can I ask that we hold any questions till the end, till I've gone through the whole document? Otherwise, we might get sidelined into particular topics. And I'd like to present it all, so then the board will have to vote on any changes this evening. Yep. So I'm going to go through the document. So the document was available on the portal for everyone. So this isn't a new document. This is an amendment to the rules and regulations that form an annex to the declaration, all of which you agreed with and you signed, and we all did when we bought our homes. Okay. So the rules and regulations don't require a member vote. For a change, they require a board vote, and then they require a majority board vote to have any changes made. Okay. So I'm going to run through each of the sections, and I'm going to just describe the changes that the Facilities Committee are proposing. This was originally done in May of last year when the earlier Facilities Committee was in place. It wasn't moved forward because they are changing management company. So apologies for that. We're just getting to it now. So the first part of the change is that we are proposing that parking spots located around the North Pool on Bethpage Lane, Black Wolf Run, Pacific Dunes Drive and Trappist Loop may be used as follows. Between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. when using the pool or recreational facilities. Between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. for overnight parking. Vehicles may park in the spots designed for mail drop-off and pick-up for a maximum of 10 minutes. Parking spots on Croquet Court, and this is a change. So the current version says Croquet and Fallen Oak Drive. There's been a correction to this. It says Croquet Court, Fluffy Lie Court, Green Mile Drive, and Downswing Place. May be used at any time by owners and their guests. Owners may park temporarily on the roadways comprising the common area between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. provided the vehicle is displaying a temporary guest pass available from the association office at the plaza. The temporary guest pass is only valid for the date of issue. Each homeowner may purchase a pack of 40 guest passes per calendar year, and the cost for that is going to be around $1 per pass to be confirmed, but probably $40 for a pack of 40. Overnight parking is permitted at the golf club, and the address is noted in here, between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., providing the vehicle displays a guest pass. No recreational vehicles or trailers may park in the golf club parking lot. So in terms of the guest pass, we are going to be having our own printed guest passes, which will effectively, although you buy 40 this year, you can use them for up to 3 years if you don't use them regularly. They are scratch-off date. So we know we're going to get people just hanging them in the car at home and nobody looks to see if the date's been scratched off. That will be a violation. So these are a scratch off and you hang them, or your visitor hangs them on the car outside and allowing you to park on the road. So that's the only way you can park in the streets. Currently street parking is not allowed at all in the documentation. We're making a facility for guests to park between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Section B, there was no changes. Actually, there is one change, and I would like to just discuss whether you think it's applicable. So the change in here is that no tarpaulin covers on vehicles shall be permitted anywhere within public view. And we added unless a cover is a fitted car cover. So I'd like the board to decide whether they agree with that or whether we should not allow covers at all as per the current declaration. So I don't know whether you want to take that now or whether you want to just wait till the end for that one, Neil.
I think my concern about allowing fitted car covers is you don't know what's underneath it. It could be a car on bricks and, with no wheels on it, etc. If you can't see what the car is. So my view would be we shouldn't have that provision in here. That's my opinion.
I agree, Neil.
Okay. I will have the attorney remove that amendment.
That's only two of us though, Peter.
Yep.
I think at the end, though, Marilyn, you're going to be voting on it all,
anyway,
yep. So. Yeah. Okay. Section C is prohibited vehicles. This is the language which is a bit strange because it says no we haven't made any changes yet. But halfway through this, it says no all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, golf carts, scooters, mini motorcycles are permitted at any time on any paved surfaces forming part of the common areas. So that's effectively saying that you can't drive your golf cart anywhere on the roads in the community.
That's why it doesn't make sense.
And if you actually just remove golf carts from there, it still allows golf carts to be used in the community, but not ATVs, not all of the other language. So my recommendation would be to remove that word golf cart from there for now as part of the amendment.
Subject to what we do further.
Subject we do further. Section D, we already talked about, that's coming out for the moment. Section E on towing, So towing has always been an option within the community, but there are certain regulations and rules and regulations that you have to go through under the Florida statute to be able to tow. The main one is to have signage posted at the gates to be able to tow. Up until recently, there was no signage posted at the gates. The Master Association have posted signage at all of the entrance gates, and we just need to make sure that our gates that don't come through the main gates are covered. But those, as long as we use the same towing company as the Master, those that signage is valid, and the lawyer has verified that. Okay. So the change we're suggesting here is that we change the violation period. So at the moment, anyone who receives a violation for parking on the street can not park on the street for another 14 days, park on the street again, and then they have to start the whole process. So all they're getting is a letter each 14 days that they're parking on the street. We are suggesting that they change that to 30 days. So if someone parks on the street and within the next 30 days, so they get a violation letter, within the next 30 days, they park on the street again, the HOA office can call the towing company and have that car towed without notice. Okay, and it's taken out of the community. So there were the amendments to the rules and regulations.
Do you have any questions about those amendments?
Neil, I have a couple of comments that I'd like to bring.
Go ahead.
So first of all, I'd like to thank Peter and his committee for all the work they've done on this. I know they've done the due diligence on behalf of the board, including, I believe, please confirm, Peter, that you've had it reviewed by legal.
Yes, we did.
So thank you. That's been a huge effort, I know. What I'd like to also see added perhaps is that any parking that guests are doing, it's at their own risk. Whether they park down at the golf course or anything else, everything is always at their own risk. With regard to driving golf carts, I suspect the reason that we have golf carts that are allowed within the community is because we, again, don't enforce it, but there is also a process of registering golf carts other than those that are used on the golf course through the trail fee agreement. So I think we need to look into that about having authorized golf carts within the community, and therefore, possibly that's how we're going to reinforce the golf cart use.
Okay. Thanks, Marilyn. You had a question?
I was just going to say, when people are going to be driving around in the
Can you, sorry,
or whatever, see who's parking in the streets or around the pool or whatever.
So just
in terms of identifying violations?
Yeah, how are they going to see who's parking around the pools or in the streets?
Well, that's the role of First Services, to go around and identify people who are committing these violations. And we also had a conversation this morning with First Services in terms of having a specific individual, to hire a specific individual on a part-time basis that would be our compliance officer for these violations, but also other compliance issues that we have in the community that we need to be compliant around. But that would enable that individual to spend a lot of their time going around and issuing violations. So that was agreed this morning with First Services, that we'd have an additional individual come in on First Services to do that for us, in addition to what Stephanie's already been doing.
Additionally, the towing company that we will be in contract with will be doing random drives around the community. If they see cars parked illegally, they will be putting those sticky notices on the cars, and then if they drive around again within 24 hours and see that that car is still there, they will tow it. Then they'll tow it. So we'll be getting a lot of enforcement from the actual towing company as well.
So I know the gentleman at the back was wanting to speak a little while ago. Do you want to come up to the? Would you come up?
I'm sure they can hear me. Good evening to the esteemed board. Thank you for your time and your due diligence and your willingness to speak about this issue. I have a couple of questions that I'm going to pose, time that I'm speaking, just wait a second, maybe towards the end, you can fill me in if you don't mind. I exercise a lot. I walk up and down a lot of these streets. There are 3-car garages in terms of these homes. There are 2-car garages in terms of these homes. And there are 1-car garages in terms of these homes we're talking about. And in certain areas, you can literally see the disparity that exists in certain driveways. For instance, one driveway may start at this door, and it may probably end where this lady is standing up. Other driveways may start at that same door and literally end almost where, like in between where she's standing and where the water starts. Now, I never had a conversation with any of these brilliant architects that we have, or these designers that we have who came through and designed these places. But I don't think it's fair for anybody to try and contest or create an issue about this when certain people have larger lots, larger spaces to park their vehicles. Now, when I first got into this community, and I know who this person is, I'm not going to mention their information or anything like that, as opposed to even just a nice welcome or hello, this person came with something to do about parking. Not even a hello, not welcoming me or anything like that. I abide by the rules. I'm sure everybody in this space right now abides by the rules. Again, I just don't think it's fair to police something where literally we're talking about different lot spaces. Whether it's, again, what I just pointed out, it could be the Osceola trash cans. Some neighbors get big trash cans. Some neighbors get small trash cans. Now, where do you guys want to put these trash cans? In the garage. Again, it becomes an issue when people have bigger garage spaces and or bigger driveways. Next thing, what would people like for us to do when we have friends and family come through and visit? You really want us to tell them, hey, buddy, go ahead and park down my Publix, and I will pick you up. And we don't have time for that. People work too hard. We pay all these bills. We just want a little bit of respect, a little bit of empathy, a little bit of sympathy. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who have, and don't take this the wrong way because I come to love and I say this respectfully, but a lot of the people who probably have issues with parking are probably people with 3-car garages and beautiful mansions. And they are exquisite, trust me. But please, just have a little more understanding. And again, I'm coming with no heat, just literally love and just asking for compassion and understanding.
Peter, do you want to address? I mean, I think the question is too.
No,
I'll take the
just
first
for the
one.
record, just for the record, I could not hear what he had to say. I don't know about Terry. I know you were straining to hear. So short of people coming up to the mic, it's very hard to understand what the point is.
So basically, the gentleman that was speaking was asking why we treat everyone the same when driveway space is different on all of the homes in the community. So I'll answer the first one first, and then I'm chair of the facilities committee, so I'm not on the board. So these guys are the ones now that have to vote on this. So I'm presenting what the recommended changes are. The view from me, this is my personal view, is that people bought a house in the community knowing what size lot and what size driveway they were getting. Okay? When you bought your house, towing was already included in the documentation. It was just not spelled out correctly. So when you bought your house, you signed up to the rules and regulations. All we're doing now is formalizing the towing policy that already exists inside of the rules and regulations.
I would say some of what you're saying is correct, right? However, in this whole process, I never went around and took a measure of somebody else's driveway to compare to mine. You know, I never figured that I would be having this to spend my Monday night explaining myself about this. You know what I mean? But I find myself doing so because again, had I known some of these rules, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. I could probably, and I wanted to think about it, I feel the same way. Literally, lot sizes are different.
I will say that we did undertake a survey on this particular issue in terms of street parking, and 90% of the respondents were, we do not want street parking.
You attach names to those votes so that you can understand who it is, or this is just like with no one else.
Why do you need the names of people who voted?
I'm interested to see who has this opinion, because
I don't think that's the point. To Peter's point, the documents were clear when you bought into this community what the rules and the regulations are. All we're doing is imposing those.
Part of the problem too is, and I've talked to some planning commission people, not necessarily here, but outside this community. A lot of these roads in Florida, when they were built and the communities were developed, they were developed to never have parking on the street as part of their bylaws or whatever, the clearance, everything that goes into it. Now what happens is they build the streets, meaning our streets, inside the community narrower than a normal side street, is what I would call it. Now, if you go across the street to one of the Four Corners communities, it's like a game of Tetris trying to get in there. Now what happens is, if we let people start parking on streets that were not designed for the street parking, now we have an issue with safety. Fire, ambulance, and police cannot get through. And I'll tell you, I get you, because I know that Lennar set us up for failure in certain parts of the community. Nobody's fault in this room, but I would challenge you to go across the street and see if you had a. What's that?
Neil, they need to come to the mic. It's like
all the way across 27.
Okay.
On the other side of 27.
I can give you an example.
I think we need to move on from this. The facilities committee have made the proposal. We've heard the arguments. All we're doing is imposing what is already in the governing documents. And we're just clarifying that. So we're not making any changes. We're just imposing what is in the governing documents.
I don't think you've heard all the arguments yet, though, Neil.
Can
There's more online that you haven't heard.
Could you come to the microphone, please?
Can you come to the microphone? They can't hear you on.
For Service Residential, the management company. Yes.
I think Tracy had a question. There's a bunch online, so.
So Marilyn, what are the questions online?
Okay, so
Neil just said that we're hiring an additional employee who will be. I mean, we don't have those details worked out right now. We haven't even passed it yet. So we need to pass this first and then work out the details on the execution.
So Neil, online, do the guest passes explain that vehicles cannot block driveways, fire hydrants, and mailboxes?
Peter?
Well, that's up to the. It's a guest of the homeowner, so the homeowner is responsible for the guest.
Yeah. How will this policy be reinforced, if at all? I think we've had some discussion around that.
Yeah.
If these new rules will these new rules be enforced after hours? Who is allowed to call for a tow? We were told previously that as long as you didn't violate parking during HOA hours, you would basically not have to worry about it.
No, and that's why we have a towing company in place that will be making rounds 24 hours a day.
So allowing it
from towing, because they're going to make a lot of money.
We
to get your car out of
And we also have to manage the expectations here, because you have to understand that even though if we contract with a towing company, that doesn't mean that tomorrow a fleet of tow trucks is going to come in and clear the community of all vehicles parked on the road. That's not how it works. So, usually what happens is they will tow one vehicle and people will say, oh no, they're towing, let me go get my car off the road. And our hope is that it will only take a few cars for people to realize that the rule is in place and they will move their vehicles on their own.
Have signs so people
Yes,
are aware
legally,
that this
yes.
is going to
So legally, signs have to be in place. Legally, signs are already actually in place because of the Master Association's contract with the towing company. Homeowners will not be able to call the towing company and have a vehicle towed unless it is parked incorrectly on their private property. So if you see a car parked just on the road, you will not be able to call and get it towed.
Any other questions online, Marilyn?
Yeah, there are. So allowing a towing company to do self-enforcement is going to open up some issues. Someone else agrees that they don't like the idea where the towing company is addressing enforcement. I think you open up another comment. I think you open the board and homeowners to litigation within if it happens in the next 24 hours, it will be towed when you haven't enforced it for 5 years. Do we only have 40 visitor passes? I think it meant per year instead of per day. And the answer is yes. Many people saying, please come to the mic. Are you possibly changing the interpretation of the rules, especially not allowing us to park on the apron?
Parking on the apron was never allowed. Never has been allowed.
So we've actually called it out as a specific item in here because the apron is classed as common area. It's owned by the association and it is classed as common area. There was the prior management company, there was different community managers who said, yes, you find a park on the apron. Some said, no, you're not. But actually, it's common land. It's owned by the association and not by the homeowner.
So it's a violation to park on that.
Yeah. The other comment is there should be free passes. I think correct me here, my understanding is the $40 for 40 passes is only to cover the costs, basically, of
printing them.
Yeah. Yep. Also, there's a plan to hire someone part-time to enforce this. We don't even have enough money to enforce better security. I think the point here, though, is the better security sits with the
master,
with a large part. To clarify, who will be paying for the new hire?
It's within the budget.
Yeah. Another person, parking is not as important as theft by people entering the community. And another comment, state law allows a property owner to tow a vehicle blocking a private driveway. And I think that's Stephanie's point, is if it's blocking your access to your property. Then the last comment, if the apron is owned by the association, then maintain it. That's it online, Neil.
Okay. All right.
I have a question. If the office is closed, how do you get a parking pass?
So you purchase your parking passes in advance in a block of 40. So the parking passes will come in the ones I showed you a minute ago, those ones. So they're the parking passes, similar to this. You buy a pack of 40 up front, and all you do is you scratch off the date and you hang it up in the visor of your guest's car. So if somebody comes around, they can see that it's the current date scratched off.
There's going to be 3 years on them, right, Peter?
There'll be 23 to 25. So if you don't use them, if you don't use them, then you can, and then you'll get another 40 next year and then another 40 the year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
8 hours, 10 hours.
It's good between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m.
So you have to use one every day if you have a guest.
You have a guest staying with you every day, yes.
If you have a guest staying for a week, you have to use a parking pass every single day.
Yes.
8 a.m. to 10 p.m. What about the rest of the day? We're staying overnight.
No overnight parking.
No overnight parking. The only overnight parking is in the golf club, and then they have to have a parking permit on the car.
So if you have
Which is this, yeah.
4 or 5 people staying at your house.
Yep.
And you want to go somewhere.
Yep.
You have to haul somebody to go get their car to bring it back to get all of you to go somewhere.
Correct.
They don't fit in one car.
Correct.
I don't think that's a good thing.
I didn't hear what you guys said.
Can you come up to the mic? The people online can't hear you.
I would just like to know where we're able to park when we have these parking passes.
You can park on the road, on the street outside your house.
Outside your house.
So what's the point of
But
the
not
showing?
overnight.
So
Not overnight.
this prevents, so this is a guest visitor pass. You get 40 per year, so you can use it 40 times in the year. So if you've got a guest coming, you can park their car outside, they hang this, and there'll be no violation because you're following the guidelines.
Okay. And then so you said that the $40 is for being charged for the printing. Can we print them?
No, because they're going to have the special logo done by a specialist company, and they'll have scratch off.
Peter, can you show it online so people online can see them, please?
Pass it down, hold that up in front of the camera.
It's similar to that. We'll have our own logo.
And then my follow-up question is, for the overnight parking, if they can't park overnight, is there a way that we can eventually change that rule? Like, is there a time frame that maybe we can revisit this and reconsider?
The board can always reconsider it.
We can always go out with another survey. As I mentioned, when we went out with a survey last time, overwhelming majority was no street parking overnight. So we can always do that again at some stage in the future.
That's the only way to change that rule.
Yes.
Does that go for our cleaning company and
No.
Bayonet? No, none of the cleaning,
No.
Bayonet or
So
American.
there's a provision already in there that if you're having a maintenance company at your home,
they can park.
They can park on the street without using a guest pass, as long as they're working on your home at the time, not just visiting.
Just wanted to make sure.
So if you have like home health care and they come every day, that could eat through parking passes pretty quickly.
It could do, but I think
there has to be some exceptions.
I think the board would always consider an exception. But it would have to, as they've done, when I was on the board, we had exceptions, and the board would always consider those.
We have recently. There was I think one of the homes down Dove Valley. She had a regular home health visitor coming in, and we approved them for street parking.
Not everything can be one size fits all. It just doesn't.
No. So those exceptions, they come to the board, and we can make those exceptions.
Neil, online, can a guest park on our driveways without a pass? I believe the answer is yes.
Yes.
Are there any plans to replace the fallen oak gate? I think that's one that is tabled because it's not on the agenda at the moment.
Yep.
If guests stay overnight, where can they park?
Down at the golf club.
Golf club.
Or in driveway.
Or in those parking spots that are.
You can't park at the golf club and the North Pool.
So,
for overnight.
yeah, so the North Pool is, I have to look at the time, but it's the overnight hours.
Yeah.
You can park there with a parking permit, or you can do the same down at the golf club. Or
You need a parking permit?
you need a parking. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we need to move on.
Yep.
We're still going to have a discussion how this one goes to the vote at the end of this meeting.
Well, I just wanted to make one little thing. I know that you mailed this out. Why couldn't you just have attached these amendments to it so we didn't have to go online to look them up? That would have been so much easier.
It's very expensive for a mailing.
For us to print all of this and then mail it, it's a significant cost.
The first page is blank. It just has, it's one single A4 page with an address. Oh, mine was just an address in it and blank and then blank. So it doesn't take rocket science with printers nowadays to be able to print the amendments. They're not big amendments, you know. I totally agree. I find the report difficult to access. It's just, I couldn't get it. Password.
So the issue is around not providing a printed copy and mailing that out with these. And the response was that it was a cost decision not to mail them out and to advise people.
It wasn't a cost decision to even in an email to us, rather than have to access. Not everybody is techie. I keep having to change the password, and I'm on the computer every day.
Understood.
So even an email.
Understood.
So going forward, we'll take that on
Email
board.
attachments.
It just makes it easier. That way, it looked as if it was something very useful. It's not.
Right.
Because I can tell you, somebody who works in all the communities of 27, the big plus about buying Championsgate is Surrey, there's no parking on the streets.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understood.
One more question, just to clarify, the parking overnight at the golf club.
Come to the mic, please.
So the question is parking overnight at the golf club. Come up to the mic so people can hear.
Do we have to have a guest pass as well to park overnight over there, or can they just park overnight?
So the proposal at the moment is to have a guest pass, but the board can always consider allowing parking without a guest pass.
40-day passes for the overnight?
Yeah, I would say that's a reasonable request.
Okay, we can amend that so you don't need a guest pass.
You'd have to tell them let them know in advance that you're going to be parking there. Down at the golf club.
Golf club.
Let them know.
I think we just have them all have a pass, Neil. That's my view.
I agree with Marilyn. I think if we don't use passes down at the golf course, next thing we know, we're going to have 15 cars sitting in the parking lot overnight.
Okay.
And none of the golfers are going to have fun parking when they come in.
All right. Pat's not in as well, so I think There's obviously a board agreement on that then.
I just think if you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile.
Okay. All right.
Neil,
So-
one last comment. I think if anyone needs an exception to this, whether it's for your child's teacher or a nurse, that they come and make a case and get an amendment or a waiver for following, like, to be able to have regular parking on the street in front of their home.
Okay.
It only starts when?
This is effective as soon as we approve it tonight.
Neil, may I speak?
Yes. Who is it?
Neil, my name's Doug Nelson. I've gone through this a million times. I think you're at the point where you need to table this until you've gone through the full review of before you go through a vote. As a chairman of several boards, and about a dozen, I think that this needs to be tabled. Let's walk through this and do it one more time.
I disagree. This has been something that has been out there since May, at least last year. I think we need to make a vote and make a decision and then deal with the consequences. Peter? Yeah?
You're going to deal with problems, Neil.
Okay.
You want me to summarize the changes there?
Okay.
Okay, so you've seen the amendments from the amendment was sent by the attorney. So anything that's underlined is additions. Anything that's strike through is taken out. The additional changes that we're proposing are, first of all, to replace Fallen Oak Drive with Fluffy Light Court, Green Mile Drive and Downswing Place, where the additional parking spots are. We are going to add in a section or some wording around guest parking at their own risk. We'll get the lawyer to come up with that wording. And they were the only two changes to the amended rules and regulations.
We're deleting the unless the cover is
Sorry, yes,
visited.
we're deleting the car cover, so you're not allowed to have any car covers in the car.
And removing the golf cut section D.
Golf, yeah, they got the words golf cart in section C.
So can we have a motion to approve, approve that amendment as Peter has outlined?
And obviously taking out the section on the golf carts.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Can we have a second? That's a second. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Neil, I just want to reiterate, we're not going to please everybody, but the situation is getting out of hand and we absolutely need to do something. So on a case-by-case basis, we'll have to deal with it, but we've made this decision and I appreciate the efforts of the facilities committee. So time to move on.
And just to go back and clarify, effective date, as Peter says, because we need to get the guest passes printed up, will be March the 1st, not today.
That could come in time for that, or?
Yes.
So this will be effective March the 1st.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? The old parking passes that they used to have when we first moved in, they wanted to know the kind of car, the color, and a lot of people that rent cars, they don't know that until they.
Which is why we've gone with this approach.
Yeah, all this one does is
Hanging down.
allows you to just scratch off the date and hang it.
Okay, so Peter, anything more from the facilities?
I don't think so.
Okay, can we go to new business then? First point of business is to appoint Javier as chair of the Communications Committee. Do we have a motion to appoint Javier?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Second point, appoint Jay, Robin, Teresa to the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Do we need to approve that? I thought we just approved the chairs.
Yes, we do. Just the chair.
Just the chairs, so we don't need to approve them.
Okay. I don't have a chair
Being
yet, so.
appointed to, you're the chair.
That's your power.
It's your power, so you can appoint
Okay.
them.
So appointed.
Okay. And then next one is the MPLC license.
This is the motion picture licensing. So that we can show
This is-
movies,
Correct.
part
Yes.
events.
Yeah, so through this proposal, we would be getting a discounted rate as we do, they have a partnership with For Service Residential. So the annual amount is $1,389, which is a savings of over $900 of their normal licensing.
So this allows us to do what?
It allows you to play movies, TV shows, or anything like that.
Don't we do that already?
Yes, and we don't have a license to do it right now, and we need one.
Oh, right, okay.
I thought we had this. Did we not pay for it before, or is it expired and we're renewing?
It's my understanding that we've never had it.
I think, Marilyn, you had the music one, but not the
Correct.
video one.
Yeah, so there's two licenses. There's one motion picture license, which is this one, and then there's also the BMI license, which is the background music license. So we do have that one.
Right.
But we need to get this one in place.
So I will
So
just
this,
say that.
we need
where-
this in order to host the football or soccer games, right?
Yeah, so go ahead, Pat.
Just be aware that there's these companies prey on us because they preyed on my business. I took this to my attorney and he told them, go away. Now, if you have BMI, you're going to get ASCAP that's going to come after you. It's the same company, but they have certain titles, certain singers, whatever artists that, they have under their umbrella. So if we get another one, we have to be careful that we don't, get preyed upon. Because these people preyed upon my business for 2 years.
But
And I
we do
just
need
kept
to have
pushing,
one.
pushing,
Are you
pushing.
saying we do need to have one?
I would have one because what happened at my place is they wanted to keep coming back and asking me for second or third one, but through my jukebox, who I pay the company that supplies the jukebox, which is a revenue sharing, they pay it.
Right.
So it was covered. And they kept saying, oh no, you need this one, you need it. No chance. So I just went to the attorney and I said, handle it. 6 months later, he came back and he said, we're done. So again, you just have to be careful because they prey on people that just don't know the law. Okay, I'll pay it because I don't want to get in trouble for showing a football game.
So do we need to conditionally approve this, but get the attorney to take a look at it?
It wouldn't be a bad idea to ask the question.
Okay. I think that's fair.
If there's something else that covers us and we can save $1,300, I mean, this is one of those things I would lean on for services for too.
Right.
And then in the next legal meeting, we ask Ashley to bless it or not.
Yep.
Especially if we're streaming something we already pay for through the TVs and Spectrum.
Correct, exactly. That's what I'm saying, Marilyn. I pay through my jukebox, so that covers me for ASCAP, for BMI, for the 3 other ones that want to come and get another $900 from me.
Stephanie's shaking her head.
It doesn't though. You need this license.
Wait a minute, what if I talk to your attorney?
My attorney's in Michigan.
No, your attorney on the board.
That's what we're saying.
That's what they're talking about.
That's what we're saying. Get them,
But we talked to the attorney. The attorney charges us $250 for our advice.
Every hour.
Every hour we do.
It's only Spectrum that we're playing here.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
It's not.
No.
It's not. That's the problem.
But maybe it should be only Spectrum that we're playing here.
Because we're
So,
paying for
hold
this.
on. So really
games.
quick. So the association attorney was consulted about this. And yes, if you were to only play things that are on our televisions that the television plays,
Right.
you're covered. But if we want to ever have a movie night and play anything on any, I know Nicole planned like a big screen movie type thing. We want to use anything that's outside of what Spectrum covers, we are not covered.
So don't have a movie night.
Even on TV, decide to have a movie night.
Agreed.
We're paying Spectrum anyway. And
mean,
then
it's-
people come up here and actually watch the games. They keep an eye on them. They don't come up specifically to sit and watch.
I mean, I can talk more in detail about this, but I've seen the attorney's recommendation on this.
We get the attorney's recommendation.
Don't agree with her recommendation.
You don't
agree?
First Service does not agree with her recommendation.
Right, well, I think we need to take it offline. Let's table it and we'll review it with the attorney's recommendation. Then we'll
And understand our
bring it back.
exposure too, right? In other words, what is our exposure if we do get fined or?
Well, they don't do anything to you. They just keep sending you their attorneys, their in-house counsel attorney's letter that says stop doing this or we're gonna slap your hand.
All right,
Or
that's
charge you
tabled.
fines.
Table.
Pool cleaning contract.
So our current pool cleaning contract is up at the end of March. So I did go out and bid this out just because, for good measure. Specifically because our current pool contractor who does the cleaning, their contract amount for their renewal is it's a big jump compared to what we're currently paying them. So right now, currently for the plaza pools, we pay $3,000 a month, and they're proposing to go up to $4,300 a month. And then the north pool, we're currently paying $1,335 a month, and they're proposing to go up to $1,460 a month. So we had them bid the project out. We had Heartland Pools bid the project out, and Central Florida Pools. We really liked what Central Florida Pools had to say. Additionally, they provide the chemicals themselves, which our current contractor does not do. They have to outsource the chemicals. And Central Florida Pools also does pool repairs, which our current vendor also does not do. So overall, just based on everything that we know about Central Florida Pools, and based on their proposals, we are recommending to move forward with them.
Okay, can I have a motion then to use Central Florida Pools going forward?
But you didn't give the dollar amount for Central Pools.
I think the only ones you talked about.
Neil, there's a motion on the floor.
You don't know the cost.
So move, Steph.
Sorry, say again.
I said so move.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a second? This one.
Just for detail, the contract amount for Central Florida Pools is $3,900 a month for the plaza pools and $800 a month for the north pools, for a total of $4,700 a month.
So it's $1,060 cheaper than what our renewal is being quoted at.
A month, yeah.
A month. Do we have a second? All those in favour? Aye.
I
Seconded.
Pat.
You don't have a relationship with Central Pools, do you? Does First Service have a relationship with them?
First Service Residential does do Central Florida Pools, yes. I mean, not everywhere, but they're
Did you get another quote?
Yeah, we
yes,
got three quotes. Three quotes.
I got three
Heartland
quotes.
Pools, Samdry Pools, and Central Florida.
Neil,
They did the work. They got 3 quotes.
I'm in the process of doing this.
How do you want to do it? What's your solution?
Are we able to look at that? Look and see what the services are? Because that's what I'm. What you're not
in-
telling me, because I want to
right?
include like them cleaning the tile, because the tile inside the pool.
It's all with that.
Our old company wasn't.
Yeah,
Fine.
Well,
They
the
need
contracts
to
always.
come to the mic. They need to come to the mic if they're going to talk.
So the question is around, are residents allowed to see the contracts? Yes, you are, but there is a motion here in terms of formalising the process for that. So on one of the items on here, we'll formalise the process for you, asking for documentation from the community.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And just please know that, I do my research. I don't just willy-nilly go out and find contractors to bid. We do, but, no, I know.
It's my business, so that's why I would know where I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
fine.
No, I just want to assure everybody that, we do vet these contractors. We do our research, and we make sure that the services that we need are provided in the contract.
Okay, so the next two agenda items with regards to the photocopiers and the golf course pond maintenance have been tabled for this meeting. So we'll bring those back.
Sorry, Neil, that was a unanimous vote, correct?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
And then the next one is the official records, which I referenced a minute ago. This is just formalizing in accordance with Florida Statute 720-303, the official records request from residents and how they go about it and the form that they need to complete in order to request records. And this is for official records that shall be listed in accordance with Florida Statute 720. The owner may be allowed to make one request per month to inspect and copy the official records. All record requests must be made in writing in the attached form. No request is valid until the form is fully completed. Same records may not be requested more than one time in the previous 12 months. A new form must be completed for each new records request. The owner shall be entitled to the official record in the format that it is regularly kept by the association. The association may impose fees to cover the costs of providing copies of the official records, including without limitation the cost of copying, 25 cents a page, or the actual cost if sent to an outside copy service. If the office personnel are required to assist in the copying of the record, a fee of $35 per hour will be charged after the first half hour, in addition to the rest per page charge. If the owner wishes to designate an authorised representative to inspect and copy the records, such designation must be in writing and delivered to the association not later than 48 hours in advance. The board may impose additional restrictions and adopt additional procedures from time to time. So that's what's being proposed in terms of just formalising how you can apply to get copies of the association records. So can we have a motion to adopt this policy? Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions around this?
No.
Otherwise, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. I think Terry said aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Terry. This grease trap cleaning, do we need to approve that?
So it's more for
It's already
informational
been done.
purposes, because we had to approve this on an emergency basis. So
This
it's
was to
really
do
just
what
for information.
Stephanie mentioned about the smell and getting rid of it and getting the grease traps cleaned out, which had not been done since the plaza had been opened. So I don't think there's an approval required.
No, it's informational.
Fitness on demand. There was a question around this. Were we withdrawing this one? The fitness on demand. The reason I say that is because we wanted to get, as a board, the question was, how many people we're paying? This is costing us $2,400 a year. So $200 a month for the system in the gym where people can use it to do classes and things like that. We talked about yoga earlier. But the question from the board was, well, how many people are using this? Are we just paying $2,400 a month for one or two people, a year, sorry, for one or two people using it? So we've asked Stephanie for services to clarify the number of people that are using this before we spend $2,400 a year on something that maybe people, can use their own iPhones to go onto YouTube and do classes and stuff like that on there, rather than us having to pay for a system that maybe a handful of people are using. So I think we'll table that one.
Agree.
We talked about section 4 use restrictions, that was done. The proposed amendment through 3.8, this is the amendment regarding occupancy within the community of sexual offenders and violent felons. Now, we sent this out with the other documentation for you to review and comment. We had one homeowner came back and commented on that. But as we've looked into this in more detail, we do need the members to vote on this. So we are going to have to come out and have a members meeting for you to vote on whether you want us to adopt this change in the declaration. It's not something that we, the board, can approve. It has to be approved by the residents. And again, we have this situation, this calculation that it has to be 10% of the residents or the 10% of the homeowners and we have to have 51% of them vote in favour of it for us to put it in place. So we're looking to have a members meeting in March for this and a couple of other issues that will require changing to the declaration. And obviously, Karen, if you can get the villa thing through in time, we would add that to that change in the members. And as soon as we get the attorney back, we'll send that through to you.
Thank you.
Neil, there's a question online with regard to that. Is it only those convicted in Florida or is it worldwide? I believe it's the equivalent charge somewhere else, as if it was, they were convicted in Florida, if I recall.
I don't think it's worldwide. It is, I mean, it reads that felons within Florida, if committed in another state, which would be within the above felonies if committed in Florida. So it's restricted to the US, but that's a good point. You want to make it worldwide?
Well, I think that they're.
Well, I think it's more than just Florida.
In their new county, city, state, country, wherever it is.
Right.
It's just a part of their role, whatever they want to call it.
But maybe they buy a property here and then not here permanently. So it's, so we've got to go back to the attorney on it anyway, but that's a great question. As it's worded at the moment, it's any felon under these categories in the US.
How would you enforce that? Would you do a background check? How would you do that?
That's what we would do when they come through the estoppel process and in buying and selling. We get First Services to undertake a background check.
I have another question. I'm sorry, ma'am. Does that include renters?
Yes. Yes.
So it would be the responsibility of the realtor or whoever.
Well, no, because for a renter, it would be the responsibility of the homeowner to provide us with a copy of the lease, which is what they're supposed to do. And on that, First Services can then do a background check on that renter. Where it's a purchase, a new purchase, sale and purchase, they have to come to First Services for the estoppel process. In other words, how much are assessments, how much are owed, all of that. So First Services have to provide that financial information. At that stage, they can do a background check and see whether that individual is on any of the registers.
In the estoppel process, sorry, the management company that do.
Can they come to the microphone, please?
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yep, they're coming. She's coming to the microphone.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Sorry. In the estoppel process, the management company doesn't necessarily have the buyer's details because the estoppel is paid for by the seller in the state of Florida. So the realtor who's working with the buyer may not realize that they're in that situation. And you're going then into a whole different area of privacy and data protection. And if you've got somebody buying here from anywhere outside the United States of America, you are into different data protection rules. So that I can't, as somebody who's, I've sold houses 12 years, I don't understand how a management company, no matter who they are, would be able to get access for a buyer before the process. And don't forget, the estoppel is only like 25. Terry will back me up on this. The estoppel is maybe 25% into the process. There's a lot more to go before you get to the end gate. So I don't know how that would work for a buyer.
All right,
sorry, Terry could probably back me up on that one.
Right. Neil, correct me. I thought it was in theory.
And also is, after being in Navy recruiting for 15 years, obviously a third party would run the background check. I don't know the legalities of how First Service would do that. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask the lawyer, of course. But the realtors don't know what people have. And in order to run a worldwide background check, I mean, we use this system called OMPF in the Navy. It's basically a FBI background check everywhere you lived, worked, or went to school. But talk to the lawyer about the situation of exactly how they're going to do that. If that's what
it's a great question, and we'll have to ask the attorney on the
I think the issue, though, is it's going to be in the declaration. People have had a due diligence and requirement that they're responsible for reading the declaration, and therefore they should know. I believe, as I understood it in the discussions with our legal counsel, is if it comes to light even after they've purchased the home, we have the option of evicting them.
Right. I think that
Yeah.
Doesn't
That's
have
right,
to be
Marilyn.
at the time of purchase, and never shall we talk about it again. So,
And Marilyn, just to clarify, my understanding from our attorney was, you could own a home and be a felon, murderer, whatever. You just can't live here. So so it's kind of like the example she used was a 55 and older community. An 18-year-old can buy into a Del Webb 55 plus. They just can't reside there. They can rent it out. They can do whatever. So I think, again, this is more about who's residing here, and it's really a protection on the back end. If we become aware that there's a felon, a murderer, a rapist, whatever, we can evict them. I don't think we're going to do too much on the front end to figure out if, I think it's on the back end to protect the community.
So-
That's my
So more to come on this.
I got a statement with a question. As Terry knows, to get that background check done, there's a large amount of paperwork you have to fill out before doing it. And who pays for that background check? They're not cheap. They're a couple $1,000 to do.
Well, the buyer.
Is that?
I mean, I think we've got it. That's
Yeah,
it's
it's
actually,
not an
I wasn't under impression we were ever doing a background check. It was only if something came to our attention that we would then be able to evict that person. But we're not going to spend, because I try to do it with the business too, is you have to get approval, you have to have locked file cabinets, you can't use it to deny credit, a bunch of different things. So I think that opens up a whole can of worms.
And they're
So I think it's really, from my understanding was it's a protection.
Correct,
If
Alan.
it comes to our attention, yes.
I think we would rely upon First Services to police this for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or I mean, the news we've seen where someone gets arrested, that all of a sudden gives us information that, we have to look at that. Does it fall into this provision? But I don't think we're going to be overly proactive about going out and seeing if there's anybody that currently, because it's also grandfathered in previously, so. it's
Yeah,
not like
people
the
who are
current
already here,
residents-
we can't look at people who are already in the community. It's only once it becomes effective, we can then go forward with anybody who then buys. Okay, but as I say, looking to try and get that to the March members meeting. And then the last thing that we have here on the agenda is the room rental proposal, which also I think we had a lot of conversation about this earlier today. There just needs some tidying up in terms of the amounts and the numbers on here and the font. So again, if we're going to table this until First Services have a chance to tidy up the document and send it back to us. On that,
Totally agree with it in principle.
in principle, yeah, absolutely. We just need to clean it up, Marilyn.
Yep.
On that, we come to the end of the agenda.
More questions
But there's
online.
probably more questions online. Marilyn?
In terms of online, just comments about sexual offenders can be traced worldwide. Absolutely agree with this. A vetting process for same. Every community I've lived in has had this restriction. I can't believe we don't have it. Federal requirement about different things, and federal requirement gives specific distances for certain facilities. Not sure I understand that.
At schools and stuff like that. You can't live within 1,000 feet of a school or something like that.
And then in terms of what room the rental is, if you're talking about the rental proposal, that is for the Oak Room, the Games Room, and partial lower, and also the golf. So that's the rental that we're looking at to try and generate more income for the club and encourage people to hire these out for events.
Nicole does a great job of it.
Sorry?
Nicole does a great job of it.
Great. The comment is Nicole does a great job on that. Okay, so that was everything I had. We'll open it up for any questions on the agenda.
You didn't even provide us with an agenda.
I can't hear you.
You didn't even provide us with an agenda. In the past, we
He said we didn't provide an agenda.
Correct, and that was my mistake. I only posted it on the board as we're legally supposed to do it. That is my mistake. I know now going forward, I will email that agenda out. That was my mistake.
But under old business, Neil, what it amounts to is.
Come to the mic, please. Come to the mic, please.
So this is actually old business. It's been on your agenda several times. What's the status of the contract with Luke and ITS and on the insurance with ITS and with the association.
Right. Well, the insurance broker is, as we speak, getting quotes for us to cover the cyber and also renew all of the insurance cover that we have, plus the umbrella. We have quotes for everything but the umbrella and the cyber. I think that's where we're
I think 2 umbrellas and 1 cyber.
Yep. And we're just waiting for them to come back with that.
That doesn't answer the question. The question was with ITS and Lou. There's 2 separate issues here.
Right.
So we talked about the liability we have because of his services. You would normally have a contract to protect us. You would normally have insurance from him.
Right.
It's been on the agenda for months.
We do have a contract with them, and they have provided us a copy of their insurance policy.
Okay, and has our broker reviewed his insurance to see if it's adequate?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and you've got a specimen policy as I've recommended, to go ahead and see what the exclusions are of the policy? Does he have both E&O and data breach coverage? Because a lot of times all they carry is E&O coverage. And so you've checked that, Stephanie, that he's got both?
So I can tell you that our insurance broker has said that what they have is sufficient for what we need.
I would like to see a specimen policy, and then on the. And then,
Well, you can apply to one under the terms of the contract.
Neil, and then also on the insurance for the association. What it amounts to is we're bidding out all of these other things, and yet the legal committee has had a year to go ahead and set up an RFP on the insurance, and it's a lot more dollars.
What do you mean an RFP? We've already interviewed other insurance brokers.
I heard your process, Neil, and on the need and on the current broker, I want to know who that broker has gone to from the market, because what it amounts to, the choices you made are no better than the option they bring to you. And what it amounts to is, yeah, she can tell you, I've gone to the market, I've got you the best. Being an agent for 40 years, my question to her is, you tell me who you went to, because I want to see if she's actually has the markets available. I want to see if she's actually gone to the markets that do the best.
And as we've explained before, Gary, we had a second broker come in and present to us who assured us that what we're getting from our current broker is nothing different from what he could provide except for a level of service. We also had First Services insurance agents talk to us as well about that, and also reassured us that the broker we have is well known in the market and is respected in the market. We're not going to do anything more than that now.
I'm sorry, but I got inside information that that's not exactly the true story on the other agent deal.
Well, that is,
we were there. Pat was there. Were you there with me?
So
yes.
All I'm saying is what you owe to us is you owe who that agent has gone to.
No, you appoint us as the board to make those decisions for you. We don't owe you that. I'm sorry.
Neil,
we're appointed to make those decisions. If you don't like those decisions, don't appoint us.
All I'm saying is that I believe that we are owed a higher level of professionalism.
And so you're accusing me of being unprofessional?
I'm saying that if you're not asking the broker who they've gone to, then what it amounts to is, I'm saying you are an automatic ATM for her. She knows you're not going to go anyplace else.
What more can we do other than go to other brokers and ask them to quote for us, which we've done?
Regardless, this is not an agenda topic, so we really should not be discussing this right now.
We can't get other brokers because it's blocked.
What you
It's
can
blocked
check
market.
into that if they have the right,
But this is not the time and place because this is not an agenda topic.
Okay, so then when is?
To make the time and place for it.
But additionally, we've answered his questions.
No, I'm not saying-
multiple times in multiple places. If you have a question that's not on the agenda, you can email me. You can email the board of directors email address, and we will get your concerns addressed.
That's all I'm asking. I just wanted to know
Yeah.
when it is, because, there's certain things that we want to get out there too, and I do email.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. You
that-
can always send me an email.
And sorry, just as background, the Florida statutes actually only require you to go out to bid for anything that's 10% of your operating budget. So in theory, we as a board don't have to touch anything under $1 million. We don't have to go out for bids. We can just, and there's also exceptions to that. You can appoint your attorney, you can appoint your management company. There's all these different exceptions. There's only one contract, which is United Our Landscaping, that actually falls over $1 million. Now, we choose not to operate that way. We choose to go out to bid even on small items like pool maintenance, et cetera, but we're not required to. So we do have a level of care, and again, everybody up here, exception of Stephanie, is an owner, right? So we actually spending our own money here too. So we're not sort of taking this willy-nilly. And one of the challenges is obviously this is running a business, right? So this is a $10 million business. Yeah. So, and we don't have a CEO. We're effectively the CEO, CFOs, et cetera. First Service can't commit anything. They can't, maybe $500 Stephanie could spend without our approval. But we are managing this big empire, which requires legal knowledge, accounting knowledge, insurance knowledge, risk knowledge, tree knowledge, horticulture knowledge, all this different stuff. So we don't take this lightly, and we spend a ton of time doing this. Now, insurance is a fascinating area as well, because we actually talked to another broker, and I think you guys talked to a third broker, but I didn't understand this thing called the block market, right? So unless we appoint an exclusive broker to the new guy, he can't even go to the companies that our brokers already bid. And he said, I looked online, she's already bid, maybe I got one that I can go to for, I forget, it was liability or one of those. So there are barriers in the insurance industry, unless you appoint a new broker and basically sever all your ties, to getting multiple quotes. So basically they're saying, and Gary knows this, an insurance company like State Farm is not going to provide Kathy a quote and Karen a quote for the same insurance. So they're not going to provide two quotes to us. They're not going to differ. So they're basically saying, if it's already blocked, we're not going to rebid. Nagar, our assured partner's already done that. So the new broker basically said, I really can't do much for you guys. Maybe I can increase my level of service. I can meet with you more frequently, unless you appoint me an exclusive broker. Then I can go back to all those companies and get you bids, but they're going to be the same bids. He's like, it's not like they're going to tell Nagar $100,000 for liability, and they're going to tell me $70,000 or vice versa. It's going to be the same price when I go to those same. Now, to Gary's point, maybe there's 5 people in the market and only goes to 3, but the Florida market is pretty tough. We've heard that from multiple people. So it's not easy, even when you're personal insurance. I mean, people post online, who do you use? And it's like Progressive and 1 or 2 others. There's not a ton of insurance companies that like to touch Florida. Hopefully it'll get better with the legislation that was passed, but it's not easy, And I just came on in January, and I would like to start this process much earlier and not come up to the deadline of our renewal, but that is somewhat the industry too. They don't like to provide quotes well in advance. I also talked about, could we move it to like a June renewal? Well, there's a cost to extend a part of your policy. And also they said you don't want to be in the middle of hurricane season or right before hurricane season, because the rates will probably be higher than what they are at year end. So yeah, I mean, Gary's got a lot of very valid points, and we take those into consideration, but we don't just do this willy-nilly either. So there is a level of care and concern, and the money that we're spending is everyone's, for owners as well.
As well as we pay all of this too. We have no interest in paying more than any of you, but it's a cost of doing business. Like Ellen just said, it's a $10 million operation we're running here, and we're doing everything we can. These 2 gentlemen, they walked in the door at 9 o'clock this morning, and it's now 8:10 at night. I've been here for 5 different meetings. We're giving you guys all we got. I worked on this I worked on this HOA today, 85% more than I've worked on my business. And at most of the day, it's more than 50% on this HOA than is my business. And it's okay, I signed up for it. But we just like to respect that we're trying to do the right thing. And that's what we feel like. Personally, I feel disrespected when I come to these meetings and people come at us the way they do. That's just my personal view. And I'm a pretty tough guy. I'm not going to go home crying about it. Again, that's part of the problem why we can't get people to sit up here when we're trying to elect a new board or new committee members. Just see it from every angle. See it from every angle. That's all I ask. And that's all I'm going to say.
But the other side of it is when we as individuals volunteer that have professional backgrounds in these areas, more expertise than you, then what it amounts to, and you're not willing to use information we bring, that's where the problem is.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah,
No, well, Gary, you know, we had a conversation with you and our partner. You just didn't like the responses that they gave you.
No, we never, you kept me out of.
No, we didn't. You had a conversation with her. You were on the phone with me, with her. And that was about a year ago.
And you never brought the renewal to me. You never brought me into those conversations other than the telephone call.
Anyway, anything else?
One really quick, easy, but down to earth, who you guys did a great job firing, continues to be using the facilities at North Pool access, and I don't know how, can we stop that, or is there a reason why they're allowed?
Sorry, someone, that was mentioned to me last week.
Yeah.
They still have somehow have got access into, and they're using the bathrooms in there.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So do we know if that's because they have a numeric?
Probably because they have.
Probably got
One, they're getting through the secondary gate.
I think they've probably got I think there's probably a code still programmed into that gate that they've had forever. So we definitely can take care of that.
Because they're probably on the master list, right? Because they still service the master, and I assume they service the retreat.
But
So
I
they
think
probably have the.
They shouldn't be letting them into secondary gate, or however they're getting into, if there's a secondary gate, they shouldn't even be getting, their vehicles don't even belong in there.
So
Yeah, they shouldn't get into the country club gate, correct?
That's not quite true, because the CDD own land inside of our gates, and Down to Earth still have to maintain that CDD land.
That's true.
So they have to get inside of our gates, unfortunately.
But they don't need access to our North Pool.
No, they should not have access to the facility.
They should have the facility, but they have to get in. They have to be able to get inside our gates to look after any CDD land. Community Development District.
And that was what all the infrastructure, and we pay $2,000 or whatever for 30 years, part of our taxes.
If you look on the Osceola website, you can see the bits of land. So for example, just as you go down Dove Valley and turn right onto Bunker, that bit of land that's first there is CDD land. Just on the corners, the 20 feet on either side is CDD land. It has to be maintained by Down to Earth. Okay. It's just Ron says that CDD are going through a process of deciding what landscapers they're going to use.
All right, do we have any other questions on the agenda?
I just have one comment, and I know I've emailed, and I thank the board for all their help with everything. And I.
Will you come to the mic, please?
Oh, I guess I'm not talking loud enough as usual. Okay, so only in my emails do I talk loud. But when we have events, can somebody from First Services stay until the end of the event? So in case, like the other night when it ran over, that we can have somebody here to approve it and not have to bother any of the board members that are at the event with us.
Can you explain the situation?
That wasn't the first time it happened. It happened at another event. We've had it happen at Bunko. We had it happen at the Bunko. We had the couples Bunko, and it was supposed to run to 8, but the usual Bunko runs a little after 8. So when you have 60 people here, and it ended 8 o'clock, and they're calling last call, and then we have to ask the board member, can they stay open? That's a problem when there's a special event. It should be able to stay open later, because we want to make money here. The only way we're going to make money here is if when we have these special events, you don't close at 8 o'clock if you have 60 people here.
Most of the time, I think.
You gotta come to the mic.
Okay, I understand as being an employee, if I'm working 4 to 9, it's 9 o'clock, I'm out of there. You know, whether you're a bartender or a waiter or waitress, I understand that because, you know, we've all been there at one time or another. But also being in the food industry or anything like that, you also know, okay, well, we got an event one night. So instead of working 4 to 9, how about you work from 5 to 10? So it covers that extra. That just seems like a normal thing to do, and I don't think that's.
Yeah, what we should probably do is just, when we have an event, it's going to end at 9, we plan on staying open till 10. Or if it ends at 8, we stay till 9. I mean, How many do we have?
Our
One a
long-term
month?
goal is to make money here.
Yeah.
So if we want to make money here, the only way to do that when you have 60 people here, 60 owners, you want them to, stay. You want to make money. I'd be interested to see how much money they made here for those 2 hours, and then the extra hour or the extra half hour they stayed open. Because we were all drinking, and that's where we're making our money.
It's either we set it up so it's open longer, or we empower whoever's managing and closing the plaza that evening to have the ability to say, okay, we're going to stay open another half an hour, we're going to stay open another 60 minutes, rather than having to come and ask me or another board member, is it okay if we stay open another half an hour?
Stagger the employees as they go to certain events.
And also, I'm not saying if there's 2 people here or 10.
No, but when there was 6.
When there are 60 people, or when we're having women's bunco and there's 20 or 4 of us still,
I agree. It's a good point. Any other questions?
I'm just going to make a comment, talking about making money. I tried to have a birthday party here
Yes.
in March on a Saturday afternoon from 2 to 5. It was a large event, like 80 people. I wanted a table with hors d'oeuvres, and then we would utilize the bar. I was told it couldn't be done. Just so you know.
Who told you that?
Whoever I had to email about the
Did they give
event.
you a reason why it couldn't be done?
They couldn't handle it. Stuff was going on at the golf club that weekend, and they might have to help them.
That was Derek's decision.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's disappointing, because I think that's, a major that we could.
It's the 11th, 12th.
What is the 11th?
So there's a 124 person event on at the golf club.
There was a tournament.
But that shouldn't prevent planning in advance.
Bring additional resources in.
Shouldn't prevent planning in advance.
So then again, today we were supposed to have the Galentine's Day. We asked to have it here, and we didn't, so we ended up going out and spending our money.
Yeah.
When we could have done it here, for the couple, and I know you're closed, but we could have just brought in.
You could have had the Galentine's event here. The reason that it was refused was because you wanted to bring your own food in, and that we can't do.
It was store baked.
It doesn't matter. You cannot, from a liability perspective, we are a restaurant. You cannot bring food into this location because it's a health
And that's
health
not a business,
violation.
that's a health
Now, I
violation.
know it's happened in the past and it shouldn't have done. It has happened in the past and it shouldn't have done, but going forward, it won't happen. You cannot bring your own food in here. It's a health safety regulation. We could lose our license as a result of it.
So then where are all our bags of chips, and like we used to have those small bags of chips and pretzels and things that we could have purchased at the bar, but we haven't seen them in months.
Well, we got a new
It's just
perishable.
the little bag,
Yeah.
so that this way, when only the bar is open, at least we can sit at the bar and have a drink and have some snacks, because you don't want us to bring in our own.
Well, there is
food, which
snacks
I
available
understand.
on a Monday evening. There is the ability to have snacks.
Yeah, the chips, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like the little bag of
Pretzels
chips, or the
or-
pretzels, or.
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Just something to make money.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Nibbles.
On the,
Nibbles.
so like a birthday, could you bring a birthday cake, or that's not?
No.
We'd have to
No.
cater to.
No, I mean, Derek has got some suppliers who will supply.
Okay, so you could say,
But
I
you
want a
need to go
chocolate
through
mousse cake
him,
or
so
something.
it's an approved supplier. Otherwise, it's breaking the health and safety regulations.
But if you would have said you could have supplied what we had the
We
other
did.
night at Bunker,
Oh, no, a bunker, yeah,
we would have
We've
did
done
that
that.
instead.
yeah,
But
I know. So I've asked Maria. Maria is going to meet with Derek to talk about those
Yeah, I'm gonna go
future
with
things. You're good. So he's open to those discussions. We just can't allow food to come in here because it's a health and safety risk.
okay, thank you.
I think it's more, we're not like jumping or hounding on anybody. We got a beautiful, this place is beautiful. And the pool's not working, and it's closed on Mondays. And I mean, we just got there's just so much. We're trying to reinvent it and have fun and make it, and it seems like we're always getting pushed back every time we try to have an event or do something. It's just like something pushing us back. And we end up going to the Oasis or go some places else to spend money.
And the Monday night thing is not, cast in stone. That was something, because there was no money being brought in on Mondays. At lunchtime, it was like 3 people. And we have a staff of kitchen staff and everything. It just made no sense whatsoever to have the kitchen open on a Monday.
Right.
Now, if that starts to change, then we can change that situation.
Right.
And
We used to do, on Monday, Wednesday, we have water aerobics. And we used to stay up here after water aerobics, 11 o'clock. We'd sit up here and there'd be a bunch of people come up, and then we'd have lunch, we'd have drinks. And, now it doesn't open till 1 o'clock. So everybody after water aerobics just goes home, and all that money just, it's.
I think the analysis that was done that was by Keneal at the time was that it saves the association $60,000 a year by not opening on a Monday.
Well, we like to see that. So that's positive. I mean, if that's the case, then yeah.
But obviously things change, don't they? So we should
things will change, and it's not all
review.
about saving money. It's a lifestyle we've all bought into here. So if the community thinks we should reconsider Monday's opening, we'll do
Well,
it.
I'd like to see the financials.
Right, or how many people it would take at lunch to make it break even or not lose $1,000, right? If it's 10 people, can we get 10 people here every Monday for lunch?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Once the pool gets fixed,
I'd like to see the other days more profitable before we start going back to Mondays.
Yeah, we haven't done an analysis recently. I mean, that was, when did we change it?
That was when I was still on the board.
6 months ago.
It was
So we probably should put that down with Derek to have a review of the food and beverage.
Why don't you promote parties here? Bring your guests. There was an opportunity.
But that's, rental of the room. That's one of the things we're looking to do is to rent the room.
Appreciate that.
We're just trying to be helpful and bring in ideas and,
I know.
get this.
And we welcome them, honestly. Any other questions? My voice is going.
I just want to say thank you to all the people that have worked so hard to make this community what it is. I'm a kind of a newbie. I've only been here for 2 years, but I feel grateful. And my husband and I are probably one of the oldest people in this community. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work and your appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions online, Marilyn, before we close?
Nothing much on there's one, they missed their lunches at the plaza because opening at 1 isn't convenient. But again, coming back to the Fallen Oak doesn't even have a gate. So there's that issue over on Fallen Oak.
Yes.
That's what the master.
I think that's a master association issue from what Stephanie's saying.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing about it. So maybe we could follow up on behalf of our residents.
They're waiting for the insurance check to come through.
Can we have a vote, a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Terry.
I didn't say